At the bottom of the world, there lies a continent of silence. It is a place of extremes, a realm where the laws of nature are stripped down to their most brutal and elemental forms. This is Antarctica. It is the coldest, windiest, and driest continent on Earth, a landmass larger than Europe, buried under a sheet of ice that averages more than a mile in thickness. To the human eye, it appears as a wasteland, a monochromatic void of white and blue. But to look closer is to discover one of the most vibrant, resilient, and specialized ecosystems on our planet. This is a story of endurance, of life clinging to the edge of existence, and of the profound beauty that thrives in the harshest environment known to man. The story begins in the deep winter. For months, the sun does not rise. The continent is plunged into a twilight of perpetual shadow, illuminated only by the shifting curtains of the aurora australis, painting the sky in ribbons of green and violet. The temperature on the plateau drops to minus 80 degrees Celsius. Here, the wind is not merely air in motion. It is a physical force, the katabatic winds that scream down from the high peaks at speeds rivaling a hurricane, scouring the ice and polishing the surface until it shines like glass. In this season, the silence is deafening. It is a silence so profound that one can hear the blood rushing in one's own ears. The sea ice expands, doubling the size of the continent, creating a frozen barrier that locks the land away from the rest of the world. It would seem impossible that anything could survive here, and yet life remains. On the shifting pack ice, huddled together against the biting gale, stand the emperors. The emperor penguin is the only animal that chooses to breed during the Antarctic winter. They are titans of endurance. As the female passes her single precious egg to the male, she departs for the open ocean, leaving her mate behind. The males are left alone in the darkness. They form a massive huddle, thousands of birds tight, rotating slowly so that every individual gets a turn in the warmth of the center and a turn on the freezing perimeter. They stand on their heels, balancing the egg on their feet, covering it with a warm brood pouch. For 2 months, they do not eat. They do not move from the colony. They simply wait, burning their fat reserves, dreaming of the sun. It is a testament to the power of paternal instinct, a biological miracle that plays out in the freezing dark. But the Earth continues its orbit, and slowly, the darkness retreats. The return of the sun is not sudden. It is a long, slow dawn that bleeds into the sky, turning the horizon a bruised purple, then pink, then a blinding gold. With the light comes the warmth, relatively speaking, and the great melt begins. The sea ice, which had choked the coastline, begins to fracture. Giant leads of open water appear, black scars cutting through the white. This is the signal for the return of life. The ocean, until now trapped beneath the ice, begins to breathe. And it is the ocean, the Southern Ocean, that is the true heart of Antarctica. The Southern Ocean is the wildest stretch of water on the planet, circling the continent in an endless loop, driven by the west wind drift. It is nutrient-rich, fed by the upwelling of deep currents that collide with the cold Antarctic waters. This collision creates the Antarctic convergence, a biological barrier that teems with microscopic life. The sun penetrates the water, triggering an explosion of phytoplankton. These microscopic plants are the base of the food web, blooming in such vast quantities that they can be seen from space. Swirling clouds of green in the blue ocean, this bloom feeds the krill. Antarctic krill are small, shrimp-like crustaceans, but their significance is titanic. They exist in swarms so dense they turn the water red. In terms of sheer biomass, they are one of the most successful species on Earth. Everything in Antarctica, from the smallest fish to the largest animal that has ever lived, depends on the krill. As the sea ice recedes, the great migrants return. Breaking the surface with a blast of mist, the humpback whales arrive. They have traveled thousands of miles from the tropics to feed in these waters. They are here for the krill. A single humpback can consume 1.5 tons of food in a day. They work in teams, diving deep and spiraling upward, blowing curtains of bubbles to corral the krill into tight balls, then lunging upward with mouths agape, engulfing thousands of gallons of water and food. The sound of their calls echoes through the underwater canyons, a haunting song that vibrates through the hull of the icebergs. They are not alone. Minke whales, sleek and fast, dart through the ice floes, while the fin whales, the greyhounds of the sea, cruise the deeper waters. Closer to the shore, the ice edge becomes a theater of drama. The Adelie penguins have arrived. Unlike the stoic emperors, the Adelies are frantic, energetic, and comical. They must build nests out of pebbles to keep their eggs off the wet ground. But pebbles are a currency of high value on the frozen continent. Thievery is rampant. A penguin will wait for his neighbor to turn his back, then sneak in, steal a stone, and run back to his own nest. It is a constant, chaotic bustle of activity. The noise is incredible, a cacophony of braying calls as thousands of birds stake their claims, greet their mates, and ward off rivals. They are desperate to lay their eggs and raise their chicks before the winter returns. But they are watched. From the sky, the skuas descend. These brown, hawk-like birds are the scavengers and predators of the colonies. They patrol the air, waiting for a moment of distraction. An unguarded egg is gone in a second. It is a cruel reality, but the skua too must feed its young. On the ground, the danger is even more present. The water's edge is the most dangerous place in Antarctica. Lurking beneath the ice shelf is the leopard seal. It is a prehistoric-looking beast with a reptilian head and a jaw that opens nearly 180 degrees. It is a silent hunter, patrolling the shoreline where the penguins must enter and exit the water. The leopard seal does not just hunt, it plays with its food. It is intelligent, curious, and lethal. When a penguin dives, it is a gamble. The water is their source of food, but also their grave. The underwater chase is a ballet of agility. The penguin is more maneuverable, but the seal is faster in a straight line. When a leopard seal catches a penguin, it thrashes it violently against the surface to skin it. It is a brutal display of power in a landscape that offers no mercy. Yet not all seals are fearsome hunters of warm blood. The Weddell seal is a creature of the deep ice. They live further south than any other mammal, spending the winter beneath the fast ice. To breathe, they must maintain holes in the ice, gnawing at the frozen surface with their teeth. This wears their teeth down over the years, eventually leading to their death when they can no longer hunt or breathe. But in their prime, they are masters of the deep. They can dive for an hour, descending to depths where the pressure is crushing. Down there, in the darkness, the males sing. Their calls are like nothing else on Earth. Electronic trills, chirps, and descending whistles that sound like sci-fi synthesizers. It is a complex language of courtship and territory that echoes through the crystal halls of the under-ice world. On the beaches of South Georgia and the Antarctic Peninsula, the scene is different. Here, the fur seals and elephant seals gather. The elephant seal bulls are gargantuan, weighing up to 4 tons. They are blubber-encased tanks, built for fighting. The Beachmasters battle for control of a harem of females. They slam their chests together, roaring with a guttural sound amplified by their proboscis-like noses. Blood stains the snow as they fight for the right to pass on their genes. The pups, born into this chaotic arena, must learn to stay out of the way of the crushing weight of the adults. Weanlings, abandoned by their mothers after a few weeks of intense nursing, gather in pods, staring at the ocean with wide, dark eyes, waiting for the instinct to drive them into the water. Inland, away from the coast, the landscape changes. The Antarctic Peninsula is a spine of mountains rising from the sea, but deep in the interior lies the polar plateau. It is a flat, featureless plain of ice that stretches to the horizon in every direction. But there are anomalies. The dry valleys are one of the strangest places on Earth. Here, the trans-Antarctic mountains block the flow of ice, and the winds are so dry that they strip away all moisture. There is no snow here, only bare rock and sand. It looks like the surface of Mars. In these valleys, mummified seals have been found, wandering miles inland by mistake centuries ago, their bodies preserved perfectly by the freeze-drying wind. In the lakes that dot these valleys, hidden beneath permanent caps of ice, are microbial mats, primitive life forms that have existed unchanged for millennia, giving us a glimpse into the early history of life on our planet. As summer reaches its peak, the continent is bathed in 24 hours of sunlight. The glaciers, massive rivers of ice, groan and crack. Calving events are spectacular. Blocks of ice the size of skyscrapers shear off the face of the glacier and crash into the sea, sending up massive waves. The resulting icebergs are sculptures of nature, carved by wind and water into fantastical shapes, arches, spires, and flat-topped tabular bergs that can be miles long. As they melt, trapped air bubbles, compressed for thousands of years, pop and hiss. This is the air of ancient atmospheres, released back into the world. The blue of the ice is intense, a result of the density squeezing out the red wavelengths of light. It is a world of blue and white, but also of subtle colors. The turquoise of a meltwater pool, the deep indigo of a crevasse, the pink algae staining the snow. The Adelie chicks are growing. They are molting their downy feathers, replacing them with waterproof plumage. They are hungry, chasing their parents across the colony in feeding chases. The parents run to separate the strongest chicks from the weak, ensuring that the food goes to the one most likely to survive. It is a harsh calculus. The skuas are still watching. The giant petrels, massive scavengers with dinosaur-like beaks, patrol the edges. Life here is a constant race against time. The summer is short. Already the sun is dipping lower in the sky. The shadows are lengthening. The temperature begins to drop. In the water, the killer whales, orcas, are executing their most sophisticated hunts. Antarctica is home to different types of orcas. Some eat fish, but others specialize in seals. They hunt in packs, displaying a terrifying intelligence. When they spot a seal resting on an ice floe, they do not attack directly. Instead, they swim in formation, creating a bow wave that washes over the ice, knocking the seal into the water where the rest of the pack is waiting. It is wave washing, a learned behavior passed down through generations. The coordination is military in its precision. The seal stands little chance. As autumn approaches, the mood shifts. The whales begin to move north, their bellies full of krill, heading toward the breeding grounds of the tropics. The Adelie penguins, now fully fledged, take to the sea, leaving the empty colonies behind. The stones of their nests are left to the wind, the silence begins to return. The sea ice starts to form again, a grease-like film on the water that thickens into pancakes and then cements into a solid sheet. The white door is closing. Back at the Emperor Penguin colony, the cycle has come full circle. The chicks hatched in the depths of winter have grown. They are now ready to head to the sea. The parents, exhausted and starving, leave them. The chicks gather at the ice edge, looking at the dark water. They have never swum before. They do not know what lies beneath. But one by one, they dive. They are on their own now. However, the story of Antarctica is no longer just about the cycles of nature. It is also a story of change. The peninsula is warming faster than almost anywhere else on Earth. The ice shelves are collapsing. The Larsen B shelf shattered in a matter of weeks, changing the map forever. As the water warms, the sea ice retreats earlier and forms later. This is catastrophic for the krill, which breed under the ice. Less ice means less krill, and less krill means the foundation of the entire ecosystem is shaking. The penguins are having to travel further to find food. The delicately balanced timing of breeding and food availability is slipping out of sync. It is raining more often where once it only snowed. Rain freezes on the downy feathers of chicks, killing them with hypothermia. The landscape is changing before our eyes. Yet, despite the fragility, there is a tremendous resilience here. Life in Antarctica is tough. It has survived ice ages and warm periods before. The question is whether it can survive the speed of the current change. To stand on the ice of Antarctica is to feel small. It is a place that demands respect. It is a global thermostat, regulating the climate of the entire planet. The cold water that sinks here drives the ocean currents that cool the tropics. The ice reflects the sun, keeping the earth cool. What happens here matters everywhere. As the sun sets for the last time before the coming winter, the continent prepares for the long night. The research stations, scattered like tiny outposts of humanity, batten down the hatches. The scientists remaining are the winter-overs, isolated from the world for months. They are observers, watching the weather, measuring the ice, counting the stars. Outside, the wind picks up. The snow begins to fly horizontally. The temperature plummets. The animals that remain, the emperors, the Weddell seals deep beneath the ice, settle into their rhythm of endurance. The landscape returns to the white darkness. The mountains, the Transantarctic, stand as silent sentinels, their peaks piercing the clouds. The glaciers continue their slow, grinding march to the sea. In the sky, the Southern Cross shines brightly. It is a place of savage beauty, of hostility and harmony entwined. It is the last great wilderness. It is Antarctica. And in the silence of the winter night, under the shimmering veil of the aurora, the heart of the frozen continent continues to beat, waiting for the sun to return, waiting for the cycle to begin again, as it has for millions of years. This eternal dance of ice and life is a reminder of the wonder of our natural world and a warning of what we stand to lose. It is the end of the world, and yet, in many ways, it is where the story of our planet's future will be written.